so today we are going to build something small. I mean, as you can see, you can always build something big. This one is a little too heavy, and that was actually a problem I was going to fix. But today I'm going to try and build something smaller. So welcome to Stormworks, where you can build boats, planes, helicopters, submarines, cars, tanks, amphibious vehicles, jets, stealth fighters, probably a UFO. Haven't done that yet. And you can even build homes, houses, bases. I mean, this game is really customizable. So what we're gonna do here, I'm gonna try and build like a small, like speedboat. So first, what you want to do, I mean, this menu can be overwhelming if you're new. So you got your inventory here. I'm in creative mode, so I have access to everything. If you try and do it in just regular mode, you will have access to a limited amount of stuff. And I'm also using what's called advanced vehicles. And the difference is that in regular mode, without advanced vehicles, you are able to build whatever you want, and you don't have to connect you don't need fuel, you don't need to connect, you don't need to have air into your engine. You just have to have an engine and propellers, and you connect them using logic, which I'll go over shortly. And I mean, that's all fine and dandy, but then when you want to start building more like impressive builds, advanced vehicles is really the way to go, because it just feels right. Like, you really have more customization, and you can do more with your builds, even though they do become more complicated, and in some cases it's frustrating. You could spend hours working on something and realize that you didn't connect something correctly. Now the good thing is that this editor is really, once you get used to it, you watch a few tutorials, it's really nice to use. So what I'm going to do is, as you see here, most of your builds will start off with just one block, which you can get from here, and you can drag things down to the toolbar there. And once you get your little block, what I normally do, just to start things off, is go to symmetry, which is on the right side. And what symmetry does is allows you to build on the X, Y, or Z planes at the same time. So then if your boat... Hey, what's up? Is that what, Ben? Gears? Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
Hey, what's up? Streaming. I was just gonna try and build a quick build.
Don't hear you.
Oh, you don't hear me?
Check my settings.
Do you see my little thing flashing? That's Gears, guys. He's someone I play with often. Yeah.
Testing 1, 2.
I hear you, but you can't hear me, you
Still don't
said?
hear you.
Okay, let me see here. Hello, hello. Okay, yeah, it says I'm
Oh, it
talking.
didn't change.
Okay, so...
Gotcha.
Alright, you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, I was just kind of running a little tutorial, actually.
Oh.
I was sitting there like, yeah, so you're going to build your boat, and then I just hear, hello?
Good thing I just dropped it.
Yeah, it's all good. It is all good. Sorry. I didn't know if you were going to be online at all. Like, I forgot I kind of joined that thing, so it's funny that you started up right when I started streaming.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I got a few things to, like, just fixing the planes, so, if you're gonna do that, I'll just kind of hang out here and then...
Oh, yeah, if you want to hear me explain a small boat, that's basically what I'm doing, is I'm going to try and explain it.
Yeah, go for it. I'm gonna mute myself so I don't, like,
Okay.
There's no, like, clicking noises or anything coming through. All right.
Sure. All right, well, okay, so where was I? I was talking about the X-planes. Yeah, so we have these planes here, and it allows you to build on both sides of your ship at once. So what you want to do is just have a nice flat plane here. Actually, you should probably make this a little bit bigger. Now, in Stormworks, the only way things can float is if there is a pocket of air. But first, let's get the basic shape down. I'm going to do that. It's just, I mean, really, I'm really just going to make a small little boat here. Like this big. Okay, so now we're gonna get a basic hole shape, and how I normally do it is I just start expanding it by just one block to kind of get that triangle shape here. Not triangle, but like a sloping shape. So we got that. Then here's where it gets kind of interesting. This, I'm using an inverse pyramid. You have to rotate it, and there is a way to see all the rotation labels. See, so K, L, O, J, and U. But once you kind of get used to that, you'll figure that out. But I'm going to turn that off because sometimes it gets in the way once you get used to it. And what I'm going to do is, once you find the right angle, you are going to bring it diagonally up, like this. So once you have that, if you could see it, you're kind of getting that basic shape of what a hole would look like. And you just kind of go from there. Each location. Now you could do it this way, and there's other ways that you could do it. But right now, just for what I'm trying to build, this is going to be probably your best bet in terms of just a small boat, especially if you're going to try hard mode, you know, like me, and actually try and play the game where you have to fill up your boats. This is really nice because you just get to quickly build something and you move on. So like I said before, this game specifically, in order for your thing to float, you have to have an air pocket. And when I say that, I mean like it has to be enclosed. The bottom of your hole needs to be enclosed. You cannot spawn it without it being enclosed, or else it would just fill with water. The inside will fill with water and your boat will sink. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to use a wedge here for this part, for the hole in the middle. And what I'm going to do is flip it until it's like this, and you can drag this up as well. I'll leave some space there. I'm going to use a block and put a block there. Okay, and now we're just going to probably should use a wedge for this as well. Well, actually, it doesn't really matter. So we just want to fill this up so that it's all level. So we're going to go up here. We're just going to fill this all in. Now, I mean, I'm moving pretty fast, but that's because I've now kind of gotten used to the editor. There's still a lot of stuff that I learned. Like, for example, if you want to delete things, you can use X as a hotkey, and it will automatically give you that. If you want to undo things, you can hold Control and press Z. If you want to redo it, press Y. So Control Y, Control Z, just like Microsoft Word, if you're familiar, which would surprise me if you weren't, but that's okay. Hey Murderer, how you doing? Okay, let's see. Well, I don't really need to do all that. Let's just use a block here slowly. And as you see, because I have the symmetry on, it is building on both sides. Oh, haha. Oh, you didn't know about Control Z after all that? Yes, definitely, man. um, yeah, it's just like Word. So yeah, so now I have this basic hull shape here. I mean, you know, there's cooler ways to do it. And like I said, you just want to fill this all the way in. Okay, now this kind of looks horrible now that I'm really looking at it, but whatever. If you just want to see what I mean, you can test it out. Upper left hand corner, you want to click spawn. Bam, see? It floats. Oh yeah, Murderer. I have Gears in here too. He's muted, but I said I was just gonna make a quick boat as like a tutorial, and then I'd be happy to play some multiplayer. So if you wanna, we're in Discord right now. Okay, let's see here. So we have the inside here. Now this is where it gets difficult. Well, not so difficult as much as it's just like Oh, okay, yeah. Go for a murderer. Go ahead and eat. Join on the Discord. I'm gonna be on for a couple hours, I think. Let's see here. So just to make things simple, they have a bunch of types of engines in here: jet engines, um, exhausts, all that stuff. See ya. And we have small engines, large engines, medium engines. I'm gonna go with the small engine, and the small engine is going to be the most the least complicated. I'm sorry. So put the small engine there. You Most of the time the advice I've seen is to put a small engine by the center of mass, which is this purple box here. You can select the center of mass, or you can deselect it or show it on the right hand side. So if I got rid of that, you wouldn't be able to see it. But the center of mass really helps your boat stay, what's the word, stay stable. So sometimes they say put the engine there because it's heavy. So yeah, but that's all. Once you kind of start getting used to it, you'll start understanding why you would do certain things. So now here's the next part: pipes. So pipes are how you connect your engine to all the stuff that it needs to be connected to. So right now, for example, we have air, exhaust, coolant, in and out coolant. So you have cold water going into the engine and hot water exiting the engine. Then you have fuel, which is where your fuel supply enters. Air, you have to connect this to somewhere outside the boat that is not water. And then exhaust, after it burns the fuel, it needs to expel the exhaust out into the air as well. And you'll see the smoke leave. So in this case, normally I want to get out of symmetry just so I can see what I'm doing, especially on this one since there's only the simple connections for the engine. So you have air, just gonna put one here. Um, Actually, let's face this one up. Oh, and I forgot about the most important one: power. Power is how your propellers move. So that's definitely super freaking important. All right, so and normally we color code these. I like to color code air as I like to just keep that. Just, I don't know. Let's just keep this white for now. Fuel, I think of green as in go, so just put green for fuel. Okay. Then for exhaust, how about we go with like this brownish color. Let's go with black for exhaust. Okay. And then coolant, I go with, or cool it out, I go with red, bright red, just so I can say, yeah, it's shooting the coolant out. And then for coolant in, I do light blue. Now the coolant in this case, when you have a small boat like this, I actually connect the engine to the ocean. So it pulls water into the engine, and cools the engine, and then it expels the hot water out of the engine back into the ocean. Now, I find that that's the most effective way when you start out. They have radiators and heat sinks when you get bigger builds and more engines. But right now you don't have to worry about that. You are just making your boat work. So let's get a little fuel tank. So we'll just have two medium ones. Just you want to have your fuel tank face inside toward the engine. That way you can do the piping easier. Actually, let's make it green like the fuel things. Like I said, we're just gonna do two medium ones just to keep it simple. But normally, depending on how far you want to travel, you'll want to have more fuel tanks. Another thing is that you notice this hole here. This is where the fuel goes in and gets stored. So you want to keep that toward the bottom of your ship, and it has something to do with the fuel level. This allows you, if in the future you wanted to pump out your fuel, it allows it to be pumped out easier. So just keep it toward the bottom of the boat. Obviously, this game is in early access until September, so that is subject to change. Anything I really talk about here could change, but the principles themselves are useful to know as you go forward. So let's go ahead and connect these. So we put some straight pipes out, but we want these up. Okay. Bam. Okay, let's do some symmetry here. Okay. We're just gonna bring these together. We're gonna connect this with the T-piece. Okay, so now the engine is connected to this. And then, actually, now I'm in creative mode, like I said. So actually what we need to do is have this, we need to have a way for the fuel to get in like in real life, technically. So to do that, let's instead, let's instead just use this cross here. Okay. Okay. So now that's connected, and we're just gonna bring our little green part up here. Bam, bam, bam. So think of this like a real fuel tank, if you will. And we need a fluid connector. And you see I keep the color the same in order for us to connect the fuel tanks that exist in the world to this, and it will pump the gas in. So it will store it in the tanks, and then when you start your engine, it will fuel the engine itself. So now let's start with the coolant. So I'm going to go under the boat. So under the boat, in order to install the oh no, what did I just do? I just deleted the engine fail. Okay, so like I said, it's all color coded. So this is coolant N, which means we need a fluid port on the bottom. So let us do that. Oh yeah, speaking of things being enclosed, for any time you do things that come outside the boat, you want to use pipes that are enclosed. So in this case, we want a pipe straight enclosed, and then that way it keeps a block there, as you can see, and then that way the water doesn't get in. Just a heads up, but in this case we're going to be putting a fluid port there. A fluid port allows the water, like any types of fluid, and that means air, fuel, and water to come through. So that's how that works. Let's color code that as well, just so we can keep that theme going. But you see it's connected to this pipe. That's for the coolant end, so it's going to draw water in. Now for exhaust, you can do the same thing with the fluid port, or you could use a fluid exhaust. Now, I don't necessarily think there's a difference. So in this case, just because it is easier to use these, we're going to use a fluid port and just color it red so that we can tell the difference. So you want to make sure that these stay below the water line at all times, or else your engine will not be fueled properly, or cooled properly. I do apologize. All right, so now let's go for air. So we have air. We are just going to bring this to the top of the boat, and like I said, fluid is anything that uses okay, yeah, so anything, fluid is air or fuel, or air, fuel, or water. So in this case, this is connected to the air, so it is going to pump in air to the engine. And then exhaust, and that's going to be special. We are going to just do this the same way, just so you can kind of see it. I forgot to color code it. Okay. just gonna use a fluid port. Bam. Bam. So now oh no, oops, no. Can't use the fluid port for the exhaust. You have to use the fluid exhaust. At least that's what I remember. In which case we need to enclose it using a enclosed pipe. So let's make sure we do that. Closed straight pipe. Bam. And then we're going to put a fluid exhaust. Fluid exhaust. Okay. Alright, so now that's going to look like that. Alright, so now that is most of our engine completed. Okay, so now the key is the propellers. So like I said, on this side, we are going to have power. So power is how much power that the engine is going to put out. Now you could put clutches and gearboxes in order to change the type, how much power is coming out, whether that be positive or negative. But in this case, we're going to keep it pretty simple, just so that you can see how this works. The gearboxes and stuff, it's going to make things more complicated, and all you really need to know right now is how to make your boat go. And then once you figure that out, then you could start doing all the cool stuff with the gearboxes. I'm going to technically show it to you, I guess, if it doesn't work the way that I think it's going to work, but it should work just fine. Okay, so let's see. So we're going to bring this all the way over here. Okay, so now I need a propeller. It kind of looks like the center, but why do I... Oh, nope, it's the center. Great. All right, remember what I said about these holes. We need to put an enclosed pipe here. Enclosed. Okay, and then that keeps it centered. Propeller. Let's just use a large propeller here. Okay. This arrow here is generated through, direction arrow. So it shows you what direction it's going in. So unless you put a gearbox in there and place a reverse gear in there, this is only going to go forward. Just a heads up. Okay, so we got that. We got this. Okay, all the power is connected. Great. So now, how am I going to drive this boat? Right? I mean, you have all this stuff connected. So what you need to do is have a pilot seat. Now, there are helms as well. So you could have a pilot seat like this. Or you can have a helm. Now, I think you have to research the helm, so you'll probably get the seat first. But I just want you to kind of see, right? Now, you can't just use this. All of this will not work just by itself, okay? Let's just build up some little walls here, I guess. You know, why not, right? Why not? We're going to back to our inverse pyramid. Oops, that is totally wrong. But that is what deleting is for. There we go. Bam. Okay, all of that is flush. So now that we have all of this this stuff set up, we have a pilot seat. The next step is called logic. Now this is where things can get complicated. So you're gonna need a battery first off. Okay. So we're just gonna put a regular old, actually let's put a small battery. Yeah, let's put a medium battery in here. So you're gonna need a battery. I suggest you just put it under here. It doesn't necessarily matter where it is, except for the fact that it's gonna need space. Okay. So, anyway, up here on the top, you want to find the light bulb and hit logic. Now this is how you connect your engine to the seat. Okay. So and to electricity. So what you want to do is on the left hand side, you want to start with electricity. So find electric. You want to click that. And now you want to drag from the battery to the engine, and that means that this battery is now powering this engine. Okay, so that's there. Now technically oh yeah, that's what I need to put in there. We need a generator so that the generator powers the battery. Okay, now let me actually just put that in there before I forget, even though technically that's not gonna be a problem. You want to connect the generator to power. Okay, so let's just do that real quick. Let's do a T-piece. Okay, generator. Oops, then I click it. Just want to put a generator here. This generator will generate power. So when the engine's on, it will put power to the generator, which will then power the battery. So that's if you ever stopped your boat and you ran out of battery charge, you wouldn't be able to start your engine. So it works kind of like a car where the alternator charges it. The generator's like the alternator. Every time the engine turns, then this gets power, which then is transferred to the battery and stored. Okay, so now that you have these connected, and like I said, you just click and drag. Another thing you can do is you can drag and hold control, and you can go to multiple things without it going away, okay? So that's that. So now we want to go to data, and on data, this is where you connect your controls. So in order to turn on the engine, we have to have the throttle, or we have to have on and off. So you see this red thing, it says on and off. It has this warning caution because it's not connected to any buttons, a toggle button, or to a helm or chair. So what we're going to do is set it to hotkey 1. So on here you find 1. So then when you press 1 on your keyboard, it will trigger the engine to start. Okay? So then next, we want to control the throttle of the engine. So we want to put that on W and S. So then when you press W, it will put the throttle up, making the ship go forward. And if you press it down, it will slow the throttle down, and then the ship will stop. Like I said, you need a gearbox to change the engine to go into reverse. So just for now, imagine you do not have reverse because you don't. So now we have engine temperature. Okay, so we have that. What else do we need? Okay, so we have a propeller. What we need now are rudders. So we're going to just put some fin rudders here on both sides. Do not use symmetry for this, or else the rudders will act against each other. Just keep that in mind. And we are going to logic these, and we want these to go to A and D, so left and right. Okay, I'm holding control and I'm clicking. So I found A and D, left and right. So when I press A and D on the keyboard, it will correspond to these things. Alright, so what else am I missing? Let's see here. Oh, I didn't connect these to electricity. That would have been bad. So we're going to connect these to electricity. And I think we have everything. So let's see if it works. This is where things kind of get complicated. Sometimes things work, and sometimes they don't. And it just becomes a kind of like trial and error. Like for example, how do I get on top of my boat? Okay, well, I figured it out, but technically you'll probably want to put a ladder. So right now, I am pressing 1. You hear the engine starting? And then when I press W, it increases the throttle. You see the smoke is coming out of the exhaust? Perfect. See? And now when I press D, it turns to the right. And when I press A, you can see them moving down there. See? See how the propellers move? And that, my friends, is how you build a boat. And ooh, I did not mean to put that pipe there on the bottom, but you know, it appears to not be affecting anything. So great. Alright, so don't forget to like and subscribe for more content.